What's up, party people? You know how they're always telling us to think outside the box? What if I told you there's an artist who put herself back in the box and it made all the difference in the world? Let's talk about that. Alright kids, before we begin, I want to introduce you to my microphone, specifically this blue tape. I put this blue tape on here because I have a tendency to turn the on button off. If the on button is off, you don't get to hear me talking into the microphone, you only get to hear me talking here, which is exactly what happened today. Why the audio sucks. My fault. I take full responsibility. Who else's fault would it be? I'm sorry about that. I still think it's okay. What we talk about is a lot of fun, so let's get okay, folks, welcome back to the Art Lessons Podcast. I'm your host, Dave Conrey, and the purpose of this show is to express in real time creative ideas for your business and your life. We're just trying to help you get better at that artistic thing that you do. Say we, as in the collective we, as in everybody who's participating, not just me, not just my ideas, because some of these ideas that I have, they're not my own. I will blatantly tell you that right now. I did not come up with all of these ideas. In fact, I learned most of them by listening to other smart people. I digress. My name is Dave Conrey. As I said, I'm your host. If you haven't ever seen me, heard me before, thanks for coming by. I appreciate you. And the best way to do this again, hang out more, be even more friends, is to, well, you're watching on the YouTubes, and subscribe to the channel. If you're listening to the podcast, then go subscribe to iTunes and do that thing, or wherever it is you listen to your podcast. Just go find Dave Conrey or Art Lessons. Go do that thing, and then we can hang out more, because I like you. You're kind of cool, and I wouldn't mind spending more time with you. Not to be weird and creepy. I can always use more friends. Okay, on to the show. Today's episode should be entitled Lady in the Window. That is exactly what I'm going to talk to you about today. A woman that I saw just this past weekend who sat herself down in a window and became an instant local star. Now, I don't know this lady's name. I don't know where she's from. I don't know if she's a Long Beach local. I'm assuming she is, because she was sitting in a Long Beach local event singing her butt off. Actually, she was sitting on her butt in a window singing her vocal cords off, doing a great job. If you're on the YouTube, I don't know what's up with the weird hand gestures. Let me back up just a little bit to give you a little context about what's going on here. There is this local event in a neighborhood very close to me called Last Friday. It's one small stretch of road that has a bunch of unique boutiques and restaurants and shops and coffee shops. I actually had my art in one of those coffee shops, which was cool. I was showcasing it during the whole event. I decided to go walk down this event, see what was going on, and there was this shop, this vintage shop, and normally they have dressage in the window. They have something going on in the window to kind of say, hey, this is what we've got going on, you know, something funky. But this time they took all of that out, and what they had in the window was a woman on a chair in a vintage dress, I believe. And she kind of looked all Billie Holiday'd up. She had her hair done. She was a black lady. She was very elegant and nice and pretty. And she sang like an angel. A speaker outside, so you could clearly hear her. But she was in the box, as if she was a display mannequin that sang. And this was unique, because you don't really see that very often. There were plenty of people down the street who were performing. There was a guy at the end, at one corner, who was playing his guitar. Some people were watching. And there was another band way down in the far corner. Some other people were watching there. But this lady had scores of people standing around taking video, capturing it on Instagram, Insta stories, or Snapchat. All these people just stopped, and her tip jar was jammed. I mean, jammed with cash. And I'm stoked that that worked out for her, that she put herself into a box. When all of us are trying to think outside the box, she put herself back into a box and won. But really, was she in a box? I'm thinking she was the one that's outside the box, and we are the ones that were inside the box, because we have this perception, and by, again, we, as all the people on the street, we have this perception about what a busker is. If you're not familiar, busker is basically anybody who does any kind of street performance for money. But she changed it up. She flipped the script, and it blew our minds so much that we just couldn't help but just stand around and watch and take video and tip her big cash. So I think that's pretty cool that she was able to do this, think outside the box in a way that puts her in an environment that is so different, so unusual. You probably hear sirens in the background. I apologize. That's Long Beach for you. She put herself into an environment that was so different, it shifted the paradigm for all of us that were standing around. Like, whoa, why? What is it about this that makes this so unique? Why is this so powerful? Why are so many of us standing around this one woman? Yes, she had a beautiful voice. Yes, she was a pretty lady. Yes, she was in a nice dress. But none of that really mattered. In fact, if she was sitting on the street doing that, yeah, people would have stopped. People would have taken taken video maybe or listened, but it was about her being in that window that created this opportunity for people to go, whoa, this is different. It made me think all weekend long. I've been thinking about this. How do we do that for ourselves? Now, I'm not going to be so cliche and say, think outside the box. You need to shift your paradigm. I know I'm using those phrases, that business jargon that everybody seems to think is what's the problem with our world. It's about the jargon. We need to shift our paradigm and change our perspective and think, come at it from a different direction. That's not important. What's important is we think, we use our head. We think of like, wow, man, why did this work? And how do I make that work for myself? I'm not saying go get into some store window. That might work. If you have that opportunity, that might be kind of cool. Some people might watch you do that. I'm almost certain that this woman doing this thing, it was probably an accident. There wasn't enough room for her to be out on the street in front of this shop to do this thing. So they said, well, why don't you go in the window? Well, that way you'll have the room. And maybe she was like, I don't want to be in the window. I don't want to be separated from people. And they said, well, it's that or this. And she said, okay, I'll go up there and be comfortable. And she became a star. It's possible that there was no plan. It's entirely possible that nobody had any idea that what she was doing was going to make the biggest difference to her. And the point being is that there is no one way. There is no one thing. We have to try new things. We have to discover new ways. We have to be in new places. We have to put ourselves into new environments in order to find the thing that's right for us, because there is no one right way. What works for me is not going to work for you. This video frame, this podcast app, this is my box. How do I take this and flip the script on that? How do I make that a unique experience for myself and for you, enough to make you go, whoa, shift my paradigm, change my perspective? I don't know exactly how that works. What do I do different to make this look different to you enough to make you want to pay attention and share it and stand around, and so other people come stand around? You know, the whole crowd attracts a crowd. And I thought about the stuff that I do with my art. Like, what do I do with my art when I want to change stuff up? It makes me look at things differently. The first thing I almost always do when I'm stuck is I turn the piece completely over. I'm not going to turn this one over behind me because it's huge and it's cumbersome. I turn it completely upside down and look at it from that perspective. And sometimes I stay at that perspective. The way it's sitting at that point then becomes the right way to pose that image. Sometimes that's the kicker. That's the thing. So how do we flip it? How do we turn it upside down? How do we look at it between our legs? Actually, my son did that to me just today. It's kind of funny that this happened. I'm making this correlation just now. My son and I were walking to school and he's like, Dad, look. And he's upside down looking towards the path that we're walking. Head on the ground, looking between his legs back at the school that we were walking towards. And he's like, Dad, it looks so weird. When it comes to the art, sometimes I just gotta walk away. I just gotta get out. Go for a walk, go get something to eat, go do something completely different, get out and come back to it later. The thing that's happening here may not be conducive to the creativity, to the burning ideas. They're not burning in my head yet. They're just this tiny little smolder, and eventually they need to be a big burn. They need to be a big flaming burn. I can't do that until I walk away and come back. Sometimes what I do is I use a radically different color that doesn't go with my palette whatsoever. I really want to shake things up, so I bring out a fluorescent green, fluorescent orange in a palette that normally has blues and purples and cool colors, or reds or blacks or grays, and then shake that thing up completely. Scary to do that. It feels weird, but it gets me in a new place. It gets me in a new mindset about the work. It gets me thinking, wow, look, it's different. It hurts. It's painful, but maybe, just maybe, that's the thing. That fluorescent green is what sends this picture into the right part of the brain for not just me, but for the person viewing it. Maybe it's that fluorescent green that gets their attention enough to go, wow, I like this. You don't have to go use fluorescent green. You use whatever colors you want. Just saying, that's my thing. Do your thing. Probably the most important thing that we need to remember, there really is no box. There really are no rules. We have created the box for ourselves. We have created the rules. We have put them in place to hold ourselves in. Once you remember that there are no walls here, there are no rules here, and it frees you from the constraint. It frees you from all the things that you were thinking about before about the work. This is what it's always been, but I want it to be something different. Well then, toss away all the rules, get rid of all the walls, and then go do something that's completely free and lawless. Complete and total anarchy in your work. Maybe that's the key. Anarchy is subjective. My stuff's pretty chaotic already. Can you imagine what anarchy would look like on this thing? I don't even know. I'm just here talking about my own stuff, and hopefully you get to, you know, maybe pull some stuff from that. And I came up actually with a list of ways to look at things a little bit different. And let's go through these, shall we? I'm gonna be looking over here because there's a lot. I want to get through them pretty quickly. Suggestions on how to break outside of that imaginary box that doesn't really exist and there are no rules, and you get outside of that. In fact, go paint outside. Go do the work that you do outside. Piece that I created in the last video, at a certain point, it was wet. I'd sprayed water on it. I figured, well, I should probably be doing this outside because I'm gonna be getting paint all over the floor. I went outside and painted it. I don't know if it necessarily changed anything, but the light of the day and being out in the sunshine kind of made me feel better about it. If you don't do landscapes, go do a landscape. Outside, plein air. I don't know much about it. I know that's what you do. You go take your thing and your box and you look all painterly and you go do a landscape. Go do that. See how that changes your world. Toss that up even more. Go do a landscape, but go do a landscape of something that doesn't even exist. Stand outside at the park and then go paint a cityscape. Let's stand in the middle of a city block and go paint a field of trees. Is there a field of trees? A forest of trees. A field of grass. Totally confuses a bunch of people who come walking by. What is he painting? I don't get it. How about that? What if we were standing in the middle of a city block? This is just coming to me right now again. What if you're standing in the middle of a city block painting an outdoor landscape and people would be like, what the heck is going on? Why is he painting? There's not a single tree anywhere near here. I'm just throwing it out there. Use some new tools. A while back, I was doing abstracts and I was just painting directly on canvas and doing the things, and I had the palette knives and I had the brushes and I had all the little things to make the scarring and the stretching and the blending. And I thought to myself, you know, I want to do something different. I started using spray paint. That was one, but that was still kind of like within the same paradigm. I'm gonna use that word to death. It was still within the same box. Then I grabbed some tape, regular old blue painter's tape, and I put a bunch of tape across and I started painting over that, and I put some more and made these kind of geometric grid thing going on. It was different to me. It was radical, and it really lent a new perspective in my head about what I could be doing. And then it brought me back to using words. The words that I use in my work on my smaller pieces weren't finding their way to the bigger pieces, but they found their way to the bigger pieces because I started thinking about all the things that I was doing on the little things that I wasn't doing on the big things. And it started with the tape. Here's something that I do all the time. Use the tools you've got on your body. Don't use paintbrushes. Don't use palette knives. Use the fingers. Go get some gloves. You don't want to be completely messy, but use the fingers. Sometimes feel weird about that. It feels like finger painting. It feels like being a kid. It feels like amateur level, which is so dumb. Really, what's the difference between this brush and my finger? Aside from the fact that it leaves a slightly different mark. Nothing. My finger is just as good. And I get connected to the art in a new way. Maybe another way to think outside the box is to share your work more. Share the whole process step by step, whether it's time lapse or repeated imagery over Instagram or whatever. Maybe the opposite of that is don't show anything. Tease the hell out of it. Show little tiny little snippets and then the big reveal. Or don't show anything and say, and just let people know, I'm working on something, it's coming, I'm working on something, it's coming, it's almost there, it's almost there, I swear it's almost here, and then boom, you share the big reveal and people are like, whoa, 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 whoa. When I did that little bit right there, I was thinking about how that would look on YouTube, and I'm thinking about the podcast people going, wow, they're gonna be like, what just happened here? Sorry guys, I'm in a mode. Instead of always going back to the same old influences, and this is kind of like tapping into the thing that we were talking about last week about, you know, doing the same thing that everybody else is doing. Go find somebody new to reference. Go find a different thing to reference. Go find a different image to reference. Go find a different subject matter. Go use something that you don't normally do and put that into your art. That, again, I don't know if that makes sense, but go find a new influence, because maybe that's going to be the thing that sends you in a new direction that gets you the attention. Change direction on a dime. Go one direction and then all of a sudden, boop, nope, not gonna go that way. Like if I took this piece that's behind me, and it's pretty radical right now, and I went completely different and went as accurate, photorealistic as I possibly could suddenly, that would be like, whoa, what just happened? I don't have that capability. I'm not that kind of painter. But if I did that, everybody would be like, oh my God, Dave, what is that? How did you, that's not like nothing I've seen from you before. That could be a new thing. It's not gonna be that way for me, but it could be for you. Maybe the flip of that. Maybe you are photorealistic and you need to go completely abstract. Maybe you should take your art off the easel and go paint on a wall. Go paint on the ground. Go paint outside. Like actually outside, on the ground. Go take the canvas and put it on the ground and paint there. Go paint in the back of your car. I don't recommend that, but hey, maybe your car's, you know, got messy already and you can do that. What if I took parts of a canvas that I've already got going on over here that I'm not feeling that much, but I took it and somehow collaged it into this. Collage is a thing for me, and I've been thinking about how do I get the collage work to work in my canvases. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe I find a way to glue the pieces of other canvas into this to make it dimensional like my other work. Go break your patterns. The things that you normally do, the rituals that you perform to get to work mode, go break those patterns and maybe that will shift you. Or you could go break your art. Take this and completely destroy it. Tear it apart, pull it apart, make it into something that it's not. Maybe you're a realist, but really what you're striving to be is a contemporary type where you take your canvas and you burn it and then it's like a pile of ash and that's your art. And that's what gets shown at Whitney Museum. That's crazy, but it could happen. I'm sure somebody's done it. And after you've broke that art, share it. Go put it up online. This is what I did to my art. Then if you're really brave, you go and fix it. Bring it back together. Maybe you did tear apart a canvas. Then how do you bring it back together to make it cool? To make it part of the new world that you're building? How do you rebuild? How do you reconstruct? How do you start anew with all the materials that you now have in front of you? Work in a subject matter that's totally unfamiliar. I already talked about how me being photorealistic. There's no way. I mean, I would say it would take me a really long time to get there, but maybe that's it. Maybe it's painting something that's completely out of my scope, completely out of my wheelhouse. Work in an unexpected medium. I don't do oil. I could try that. I don't do sculpture. I don't do art dolls. Maybe I need to be sharing my stuff in an unconventional area. Maybe I don't need to be on Facebook and Instagram so much. Maybe I need to be somewhere completely different. How do I know where my people are at if I haven't tried every single venue? Maybe not every single venue because there's a whole bunch of websites out there. Maybe I'm not sharing myself in the exact right place to the exact right people and I need to shift that. Instead of always putting yourself up on your own website or up on Etsy or wherever it is you sell your stuff, go sell somewhere else. Same reason. Maybe the people that are looking for you aren't looking for you in the right place. Maybe you're not putting yourself in front of the people who really want to see your thing. You're going to be sharing your stuff anyway, so why not share different perspectives? Share unusual viewpoints, the close-ups, more time-lapse, less time-lapse, the scope of everything you've got going on as it is in the environment that it's sitting in right now. One of the things that I'm guilty of is that sometimes I take my art and I crop it just to the art. And I was thinking about it the other day that I am completely washing over the story, eliminating the story of that photo. Sure, it's a picture of my art, but that's not telling the whole story. The whole story is this. That's the whole story. For you on the podcast, I basically just push the canvas away and you can see the whole studio. This is the whole story. This is where I work. When I take pictures of the stuff I do in my sketchbook, I crop in tight to just the image that's in the sketchbook page. But really, it's the sketchbook. That's the story. It's not just that I drew something, it's that I put something in a sketchbook. And while you're doing new things on new media places, why not go talk to new people? Go find some interested parties who might not know anything about you. I'm bad about this too. I don't reach out as much as I possibly should. I'm always talking to the same people that I always talk to. Mostly it comes down to time, but really it's about, not wanting to step outside my circle, which is kind of weird because normally I'm the guy who talks about getting outside the circle, being a little less fearful. We all have our thing, and that's one of mine. Introducing myself to new people, it's not high on my priority list. Not that I don't want to meet new people. Like I said in the beginning of this particular episode, I like new friends, but I tend to wait for them to come to me. It's a fault. Like I said, I want to meet you. This way that I present myself may seem really interested and engaged, and when I am there standing face to face, yes, I am. But from across the room, it takes a little bit to get my attention to come over and walk and say, hey, how you doing? I'm Dave. Nice to meet you. Is this your art? That's mine over there. But really, again, the rules, there are none. The boxes, they don't exist. The only thing that really matters is fuck everything I say. Just be 100% yourself. Question what that means, how that feels, what that could become, but be yourself. Don't fake the funk. People notice that, and that's why, they're not that interested. I'm trying to be myself as much as I possibly can. Yes, there's a bit of theatrics going on here. There's intonation, there's expression, there's voices where that don't necessarily belong to me. They are mine, but they express themselves differently in different venues. The way I express myself on video and audio is a little bit different than the way I express myself face to face, but I'm still the same dude. I'm just an actor playing a part. That's called my life. Sometimes I play it like this, and sometimes I play it, you know, just kind of laid back and kind of cool. This is how I normally am. But it doesn't matter. I'm still the same guy, and I'm still expressing it. I'm still saying the exact same thing, just a little bit different intonation. I'm trying to be 100% myself. That is the way that I'm gonna succeed. But how do I present it in a way that appeals to the people that need to find me? Just keep doing this thing and hopefully stumble across that thing. Maybe it's when I do put myself into those new places, or do my work in a new way, or send my stuff to somebody that doesn't know I exist, because you never know. We can talk another time about the connections we make, because sometimes those connections are the things that change your life. It's definitely become a situation for me. I'm not saying my life is radically changed, but some people that I've met recently have put wheels in motion. It's been a good thing, and I'm appreciative of everything about that, and it wouldn't have happened had I not reached out and shake some hands. We can talk about it more later, because it's a whole other topic, and I've pretty much exhausted myself here. Anyway, back in the box, Dave. Question of the day! Today's question comes from friend of the pod, Emmy Sturmolner. I got it right. I messed up her last name so many times. Anyway, Emmy asks, what do you think of Patreon? Do you know anybody using this platform successfully? If you're not familiar with Patreon, it is a crowdfunding resource. It's a website where you can get people to help you pay for the things that you do. It all goes back to the old days of artist patronage. It was started by a guy who was a YouTuber. He started thinking like, what, these YouTubers, these smaller guys, they're not able to make the big bucks like some of the bigger YouTubers are, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the work isn't valued enough. How do we get these people money for the work that they're doing? Because they're spending all their time and energy to make great stuff to put up on YouTube for people to watch for free, and they're getting paid pennies for that. And so he created this website called Patreon, where you can go, and there's a couple ways that you can help finance these people. If I'm a creator, I go there and I say, hey, look, I do stuff on YouTube and on podcasts. You should support me. And you can do so in a number of different ways. Because you are a valued contributor, maybe you get a little bit of special things. Maybe an extra video, maybe new content. You get special insider view of art. You get all kinds of different things. It's a way for somebody like me who does videos, who does podcasts, who does any kind of creative thing. It's not limited to just videos and podcasts and whatnot. You can do all kinds of things. Music, art. It doesn't really matter what you do. It just matters that you have an opportunity for people to say, look, I appreciate all the things you do. Here's some shekels. Here's some dollars in your pocket so you can go have that coffee that you're drinking while you're editing that video that you're making. So I digress. That's what Patreon is. And now Emmy wants to know what I think of it. I think it's a good idea. I think it's a really good idea if you can get past the mindset that it's begging for money. There's a lot of people look at it as if it's begging for money. If you're just, hey, pay me money for my work, I'm a starving artist. There's a lot of people that think that that's what it's about, and it's not. It's about saying, look, these people are putting out good work, and I want to support that. I want to make sure they understand that they are loved for the work that they do. And the people that are doing the Patreon, the people that are making the content, are saying like, look, I feel like I'm valued enough that people should, want to pay for this. Those people that are helping me, I want to take care of them first. I want to treat them special. Just as they make me feel special by being contributors, I want to give back to them. Make them feel like they are worthwhile, because they are. It's something I've thought about. I have considered introducing it, and I was going to actually introduce it back in August, but I thought, you know what, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait a little bit longer, see how this thing plays out, how everything's been playing out on YouTube and all the other places, and I'm gonna introduce it later. I am going to introduce something on Patreon at some point, because I feel like, hey, I'm out here doing good things for you guys. I would love an opportunity for you to help me with that. I also want to give you an opportunity to say, Dave, I appreciate your stuff. Here's some money. We have to get ourselves around that mindset of feeling like it's a donation, like it's charity, because it's not charity. It's being paid for the work that we're doing. We're out here working our asses off to do this stuff. We have to be able to look at it as like, I don't have to give myself away for free forever. Yeah, I make a few pennies, and I mean a few pennies by the advertising dollars that come through on these YouTube pages. Most of the content is essentially unpaid for. It's a byproduct. Well, it is the main product, but it becomes a thing that leads you to the thing that pays me. And so maybe I need to be looking at it as like, look, this is what you're paying me for. You're paying me to be on this microphone. You're paying me to be in front of this digital camera. That is where my true art is happening. Yeah, sure, it's on the canvas back there too, and you should buy that too. But really, You should be paying me for this time too. I'm not saying you absolutely should, but it'd be cool. Maybe I will start that. Probably will. Don't know when, no promises, but Emmy, you got me thinking that maybe it's about time. So the second part of that question, do I know anybody that's using that platform successfully? I personally do not know anybody that's using that platform successfully. Like, I haven't actually had conversations with people that are using it that are like, yes, I love it. But I do know people that are making money there. I have a friend who is a photographer and a model. She does erotic art, high erotic art. I'm personally not a patron of hers, but I know that she had just recently started and she's fully engaged now. She just started it recently and I think she went in a little trepidatious about it, but I've noticed that her posts about what's happening on Patreon have gotten a little bit more vigorous. She's definitely putting more energy, more oomph into them because I think it's working for her. I haven't asked her, I should ask her. She seems to be doing it right. Just so you know, not pornography. Yes, she's nude. Yes, you know, it's, you know, there's boobs, okay? She's got boobs, they're boobs, you get to see her boobs. She makes really great art. Even her fully dressed photography is amazing. I will link to her in the show notes if you want to check her out. Her name is Sandra. She goes by Choose Over the Slain on Instagram if you want to see her. Really long gothic name. She's a gothic kind of chick, but really cool. Sandra's her name. Go check her out if you want to see what I'm talking about. Go patronize her if you want to be on her Patreon. So she's making it work. Is she making a killing? No, but she's getting paid. People are paying her money to show her boobs in a very artistic and beautiful way. I'm not gonna be showing my boobs anytime soon, folks, but you know, you can still put some money in my pocket if you wanted to. Maybe that's my question back to you, is that do you think I should do a Patreon? If I did a Patreon, would you be a patron? No pressure. Artist of the day. Today's artist is a man by the name of Pat Cantin. I don't know where he's located. His name is Pat Cantin, like tin can, but opposite. And he paints clowns. Well, sort of clowns. Paints people with clown faces or clown noses. Here's the thing. He at one point painted people, realism, and he did a really nice job of that. If you go way back into his archive, you can see he did a lot of photorealistic or realistic portraits. And over time, they got more twisted and more abstract. It's still formed. You could still tell they were people. Some parts of it would be realism. Maybe the ears and the head and the what they were wearing. And then the face would be totally obscured. The backgrounds would be normal, and then sometimes the backgrounds would be completely abstract. Sometimes the faces would be almost complete faces, and then just something going on. And then he started adding clown noses. I don't know the reasoning behind the clown noses. I don't know why, but it just became a theme. Suddenly there's clowns everywhere. He's broken his own rules over and over and over again. And it was the clown nose that originally got my attention. I've seen plenty of artists who paint figures and then completely obscure the face. But it was that red nose on one of his pieces that got my attention. There you go. There's one. There's another one. This one's kind of cool because it's abstract, but it's also collage. So you're just gonna have to go look at his work on Instagram to see what I'm talking about. You can find him at Pat_Cantin_artist. Again, I will link to it in the description. As I'm looking through the stuff he's doing today, he's going completely abstract. Going completely, radically left field from what he was doing before. And, big thing, no clown noses. He's not doing the clown thing anymore. And that's what got my attention. But it's got my attention just long enough so that I constantly watch what he's doing because I love everything he's put out. I don't know if I would buy a painting with a guy with a clown nose. Might freak my wife out, but I love everything he's doing because he keeps breaking his own rules. Keeps understanding that I don't have a box. Do whatever the fuck I want. So yes, go check him out. Go check out Pat Cantin on Instagram. I will link to his Instagram. I will link to his website. You can go find those in the description as I've said. And if you go there, tell him, hey, Dave Conrey from the Art Lesson Podcast said hi. He doesn't know me from Adam. I haven't talked to him even for a moment. I do appreciate his work and maybe I'll give him a shout, say, hey, by the way, I talked about you. Hope we get some new people. And I expect all of you to go say, hey, I like your stuff. Where's the clown nose on this one? The clowns are kind of creepy, but I like where you're going right now. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's it. Folks, I'm rambled on for a long time. I went on a little bit longer for this one than I thought I would. That's okay, because I think it's good stuff. I think we need to break through. I also want to acknowledge that these episodes are sometimes a bit unstructured in their length. Last week was a little bit shorter than normal. I'm trying to keep them between 20-30 minutes. I'm not always successful. Sometimes I edit a little bit short. Sometimes I edit a little bit long. I hope you're just okay with listening to me for that length of time. I do acknowledge that for the YouTubers, the people on the YouTubes, 30-minute video could be a bit of a strain. Maybe come back to it Add me to that watch later. Should I break this up into 2 parts? Would it be cooler in 2 videos? That seems like not a great idea, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Answer all my questions in the comments below on the YouTube thing. Go to youtube.com/Dave Conrey. Find this video if you aren't there already and answer those questions in the comments. And while you're there, if you're interested in me answering your own question, make you a question of the day, you can ask it there. And again, if you're new here, don't know anything about me, don't know what's going on here, stuck it out this long, thank you. I love you. You are amazing. You'd rather not miss out on a single thing, make sure you subscribe. Again, youtube.com/Dave Conrey. Subscribe, like, and share. That's it. I'm out. Folks, you've been great, and I am tired. Let's get on with our days, all right? Remember, be good today, be better tomorrow. See ya.